Hello, everyone. How are we all doing? Come on in. Sit on down. It's time for a truth or therapy session. Yes, that's right. Episode 117. Time is certainly flying, and if you're wondering what this is, no, it's not some new strange pet or anything. My shoulder is absolutely killing me. I have no idea, but it's been creeping up the past week, worse and worse every single day. So what this is one of those bean-filled hot water bottle type things you stick in the microwave, which I got from my wife this holiday season, and I am taking advantage and trying to get it on my back right now to make it feel better with some deep heat. And to be honest, it's not working, but I think the paracetamol's kicking in right now, and it's getting a little bit better. So don't mind me. Once it cools down, I'll get rid of it, but for now, it's going to stay there until I feel somewhat eased. Hopefully I can just distract myself by talking to you guys. That's kind of the aim today, to be honest. We've got a good show today, I think. We're going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to do some commentary. I'm going to watch somebody else's compilation of a lot of videos about general modern day burning out and crashing out and people absolutely losing their minds through stress and fear of the horrors of the modern world that's creeping up upon them day by day, making them realize that they've been absolutely played. And we're going to react. I'm going to listen, throw my 2 cents in here and there, and maybe, offer a conspiratorial explanation for what's been going on and why we have such problems today, to be honest. And, I've been kind of watching a lot of these recently. They've kind of been filling my feed non-stop for the past, better part of 3 months. It's just one thing after another, one video after another of somebody sat there announcing to the world that they're just giving up and why they're giving up and why everything is just complete and totally unfair and impossible for younger generations and even older generations now. It's catching up to everybody. And it seems like there's this general sense that everything's broken and there's nothing we can do about it. We are just stuck in it in utter despair and an endless cycle of depravity and poverty, which has no sight in the future of getting any better. And that's it. Just my feed constantly. And I don't know if it's the algorithm just playing to me because I watched one video and it started giving me more. Maybe I get that, but I feel like it's like a trend, like a seriously huge trend that all the content creators are now picking up and on talking about. So I'm going to jump on the bandwagon and do the exact same thing. Why not? But maybe, just maybe, we here in our little corner of the internet, our strange, very strange corner of the internet, maybe we can offer a bit of a different perspective on what's causing all of this and what's really going on exactly, and perhaps where the blame should be. And we're going to cover a lot of things. We're going to cover work burnout, housing burnout as well, education problems for younger generations, and a general decline in intelligence rates as well, and the ability to read and write. A lot of things. But generally, I feel like even those listening to my show can appreciate that, yes, things are getting very, very difficult. And it's not even just like a financial problem, though that is a huge part of the issue, but it's a general ability to exist in this world and even speak in this world is getting worse and worse. And even general safety of just being here and trying to exist in your own country is getting harder and harder as well. Life is being limited greatly for many people. And I think it's causing we'll call them normies. I try not to use a derogatory term, but I can't think of any other term to use to describe the people out there who just don't know and are just running the programming, and just running what they've been told by the news. And even they're starting to have these moments now where they're sat there going, what the hell is wrong? Why can't I get a break? Everything's getting terrible. I did all the things, I did everything right. I did what I was told, and I haven't got 2 pennies to rub together, and I own nothing, and everything's just being taken away from me. Like, what is happening? And you will watch some videos today, and you'll see the general sense of how people are feeling. And please, in the comments, leave your 2 cents and let me know what you think of this and how you're feeling and how you're existing in this world and what you think of what these people are saying. But in the live chat as well, I'll try and respond as we're going along here. Let me know what you guys think too. But yeah, that's that. So let's just get straight into it. Let's not waste any time today. Why not? Let's just do this. I will be going for maybe about an hour and a half, only because I am on somebody else's podcast, which will be pre-recorded and released later in the week, in an hour and a half. So I can't go all night, guys. Just for the live listeners who are here now. So that will be probably the limit of this show tonight. My wife, I've been crashing out since before it was cool. Yeah, I think a lot of us here can feel that, to be honest. I feel like a lot of us, I remember, I think I crashed out maybe like 10 years ago. And then I became a conspiracy theorist Christian, that's basically how it goes. But I think a lot of people are catching up now. I think it's becoming the norm for people to have these awakening experiences of utter bottom of the barrel dread situation going on where they can't go any lower. I think it's catching up to everybody now, and we live in a bit of a post-truther world, I'd say. Where I think we've crossed the truther singularity, as I've called it, and now everybody and anybody is suddenly waking up and realizing, oh no, how is England not having a boogaloo over your tyrannical speech laws? Well, we're kind of just used to it. We are. We also don't have the means to revolt. We don't have weapons. Like, we just don't have anything. And that's not going to happen. That probably wouldn't even be a solution anyway. That would just make things a hell of a lot worse, I think. Because it'll be used as a justification for the next stringent thing they're going to lock down on top of us to prove that, we don't deserve anything and we need to be looked after and told what to do by the nanny state. The thing is about British people is we will say what we want. We will. And we'll learn where we can and cannot say it and just work around. That's kind of how it goes. We just work around it. And even though we can't say what we want to say, everybody knows what's not being said as well. Because we're a small island, word gets around fast, and we know when we're being told we can't do something, and it's kind of, okay, we'll play it your way, that's fine. We won't say the thing, but we'll still do the thing, Britain can be quite active when they need to be, historically speaking. Whenever injustices are abound, the British people tend not to put up with it for too long. But yeah, we don't need to say it out loud to know that there's a problem, that's for sure. But it's getting worse. It is getting a lot worse. You're right. And like I said, people are starting to get arrested for things that are absolutely ridiculous as well. They're sending the police around, knocking on people's doors for tweets and the rest of it. But I feel like the more they do this, the more they're just shooting themselves in the foot as well. And that could even be a part of the plan. The plan is to rile everybody up to the point of some kind of bloody revolution to justify the next step in the agenda, which is full systematic state control to quell the revolution, which will then justify the next steps of containment of the population and the solutions they want to offer. So in a way, I feel like you have to be careful. You have to be careful with how you say things as well. It's not necessarily that you can't say something. It's like the inflection you put on it. It's in which context you say the thing. And I find if you say something with a cogent, intelligent air about it, with them backing up what you're saying within context, they can't really do anything. But if you just mouth off on social media and blatantly sound like you just hate people, then yeah, they're going to come around knocking on your door. If you can make a cogent, sound argument as to why you have a certain opinion based on facts that they can't deny, then they'll leave it, because they're not stupid. So I feel like, yeah, in England, we just have to play a game a little bit. It's a shame, really. It's a shame. That seems to be how it goes. Oh, thanks, Wendy. Thank you, Paul, for all you do. Much love to you, Keely, and the little ones. Well, thank you. I really appreciate the support, though, Wendy. You do enough for me, though. You don't have to do that. You don't have to do that at all. I do appreciate the support. But you do more than enough for me and this channel, and have done for a long, long, long time, and I'm very thankful for you. But still vent about being controlled every now and then. Yeah, also in true 1984 style, they do let us have half 15 minutes of hate every now and then to vent and let it off. You know, the pressure valve. They'll let people get away with saying things for a short amount of time, and then they'll make an example out of one person, signaling it's time to shut up about that. Now that's kind of what we're like in this country, and Keir Starmer, our current leader, our dear leader, he knows his time is short, I'll say that. So he is just pushing the most ridiculous things through as fast as he possibly can. Like, as fast as he possibly can. Because he knows there's no Labour government after this government. It's over. They know that. They know that. And Conservatives too. They didn't care either. They know they're on borrowed time. So they're just going full force with the Tony Blair dream, the globalist regime. They're just putting through as much as they possibly can now to limit us to the point of no return. So once they're done with their term in like 4 years' time, we'll struggle to undo what they've done. That's the plan. They know that. Like they're just going for broke now. The mask's off. Full socialist, dictatorial, globalist regime control back in the EU, all that kind of stuff. You know, it's limiting our freedoms under the guise of saving the world and the planet, and false altruism, all the rest of it. For example, they've just made a law about housing, which is massive. It's good for renters and tenants. It's to protect renters, so they can't get kicked out of their house, basically. So they've passed this law where you can no longer landlords can no longer rectify, I think it's Article 21 or something like this, which allows them to give like a 2-month notice of eviction for no reason. But obviously, usually when it comes to that, it's because they need to sell, because the landlord has their own problems, you know, and it's kind of, they have to sell. But obviously, that's not always their fault. You know, maybe a landlord needs to sell for their own retirement, for example, you know, and that's their assets. Their retirement and pension is in the house. That's where the money is. And it's just time, you know, so often, obviously, as well, some tenants are absolutely terrible and will destroy the place and not pay rent. And obviously, it used to be that a landlord could just say, okay, well, you've got 2 months to get out. Now, just give them notice, you know, and then that's it. That protects them. And that's been revoked. Now, landlords are in a very horrible position where it's not safe for them to rent their properties anymore because they don't have any protections. They'll be stuck in a situation now because if they do get a terrible tenant and they're not paying, well, it can take up to 18 months to go through a process of litigation, which involves them having to hire a solicitor as well now. They can't just evict them. And in those 18 months, that's the landlord paying rent and property tax and everything for 18 months that they might not even have. So they go bankrupt, so they have to sell the house and the rest, and they lose that property. And it seems to me more like just a huge power grab to allow BlackRock to buy up all these renters' properties and then rent them at an even higher price, you know, from people who can't really afford it. So, you know, you get giant corporations who do rent, and to them, this is not an issue. 18 months worth of fees is a rounding error, you know what I mean? But to like a small, like, mom and pop company, as you would call them in America, you know, who just have like one property they rent out, that's everything. That's bankruptcy. You know, they've lost it all. And this new thing they've released saying it's to protect the tenants in the long run will not even make it better for renters either at all, because now the properties prices are either going to go extremely high because there won't be any available to rent, or most people with property who rent it will not rent the property out to the public because they have no protection anymore. So they're not going to take a risk. They're not going to take a risk on people with, you know, uncertain incomes or any of these things, because they don't have that power anymore to claim back their own property if something goes horribly wrong. So why bother renting at all? Just leave it there or sell. That's the only option for a renter now. And I don't even rent property, you know. I'm not here like on the renter's side. I can just blatantly see the obvious problem with this. Like, it's going to cause things. And now there's going to be fewer properties available to rent, which means there'll be 50 people fighting for one property, which means the prices can go higher in bidding wars. It's just going to become a nightmare. And people who do have properties to rent will probably only rent to friends and family. So it's just going to make things 100 times worse. And and those landlords who do just sell all their properties, well, they're going to be selling them to the big banks, who are going to be selling them back and renting them back out into the market at a huge price premium. You know, so this is just another globalist conglomeration of power and ownership of land and property that's happening here under this guise of, well, we're going to make it so tenants can't just be kicked out, you know, think of the poor old ladies who get no warning. The propaganda from the BBC has been rife about this, but it's bullshit. And that's just what we're doing, one thing at a time. It's like, oh, for the kids, oh, it's for the old people, oh, it's for the retirees, oh, it's for some poor victim why we're putting through this horrific regime change, which in the long run will only benefit the rich and widen that gap between the rich and the poor and dissolve the middle classes. You know, that's basically all that's happening here in the UK, and I'm sure this is happening absolutely everywhere in the world, but right now our government is just doing one thing after another to do this, to make this happen. He has his paymasters, his overlords, and he's working for them, not the British people. Now that is clear, and the British people are under no illusion. We all know, we can all see it. Even like dyed in the wool, left liberal, lovey Labour types who voted in this monstrosity, like even they're saying now, like, what have we, my God, what have we done? You know, having that moment of clarity, like, oh, we were useful idiots. Like, I think everyone's, the mask's off, like they're realizing it now, like, oh, we didn't vote for this. This is not what we thought was going to happen. And then you got the slimy Green Party trying to slither their way in there, claiming they're going to do something different, and they're not. You know, they're not. So yeah, our politics in our country is absolutely going to hell in a handbasket. We are in a lot of trouble, and in a way, I've just given you a snippet there of kind of the anxiety we're having even in this country about our future and property ownership, even, you know, and just is our future even certain, and things like homelessness and these worries and fears are now becoming a very real, tangible worry and fear based on the moves that are being made on the board. But I think a lot of people who, in the videos we're about to play, may not necessarily understand the politics behind what's going on here and the agendas at play that are causing these symptoms they're complaining about. This is cooled down now, I'll take it off. They don't really understand why it's happening. They just know it is, and they're not happy about it in many cases. So yeah, anyway, let's play some of these, and I'll just have some commentary. And look, I've had some upgrades. Check this out. I'm now in the bottom corner, as you can see. We're trying something new. You can see me the whole time we're doing this commentary. And if I flip this to here, what does that work? Yeah, you guys can see. So this is a video, and it's by, if I can get it right, Americans are burning out while the system pretends everything's fine. This is by a Homestead Journey Clips. So thank you to this channel for compiling these clips so I don't have to. And to be honest, I'm not going to lie to you, I just randomly picked this one video that was on my feed. I haven't really thoroughly watched it myself, but I just know it's going to be more of the same videos I've been watching for the past 3 months. They're everywhere now. They're flooding all the platforms. This is the current thing that everybody is talking about outside of the mainstream narrative on the TV and on the main. This is it. This is what the people are thinking and saying a lot. And these people who are talking to you are not conspiracy theorists like me or you. These are just people just living their lives and noticing, shall we say. So here we go. Let's just start this. And I will be stopping and starting it because this is copyright stuff, okay? So I'm going to have to for commentary purposes. But let's just start this off.
We're literally priced out of every single life milestone.
You're working harder than ever. Everything costs more.
This might be the only shot normal Americans have left.
I'm going to live in this bell tent while I finish up the 10 by 12 starter cabin.
When I tell you our grocery bill should be illegal, I am like slightly embarrassed / ashamed / appalled to even tell you what the number is.
The amount of debit and credit cards that were declined were astronomical.
If it's not one thing, it's another, it's another, it's another, it's another. Like, you literally don't get a break from anything.
I'm so sick of my life. Everyone is exhausted. Post-pandemic, the world, the exhaustion, the stimulation, the rhetoric.
I feel bad for Gen Z and Gen Alpha or whoever that is, because those people have never known the old world.
I'm slowly coming to the realization that we are the generation that has to do something, and it's one of the most difficult realizations to accept.
Quite a few things feel off in America right now, and many people can feel it. They are exhausted, burned out, and stretched thin in many ways that really didn't exist not too long ago. Because of this, more Americans are questioning the system. They are redefining what success looks like, or they are quietly opting out of the system altogether.
One day.
Okay, so that's the introduction there, and you know, that was the lady there who was just talking. I think she owns the channel, so again, shout out to her. Thanks for this. I'll put a link in the description after this video, so you can go and watch this yourself afterwards if you want to. But this is me. I'm kind of watching this live now anyway, so this is me reacting as we go. But you just saw that compilation. It's just you get there's a vibe, isn't there? Like everybody is absolutely exhausted and cannot afford to live anymore. Like, and it's not like through lack of trying. It's like they're working like 7 jobs, like 80 hours a week. You know, they don't sleep anymore, and they're still barely just scraping by and then still in debt. And it's getting to them. And at the end, you got like these people say like, "Oh, clearly we need a revolution." But it's like, how am I supposed to be a revolutionary when we have nothing? No means. Like, everyone's on edge. And I think what's going to happen is they're going to go deeper into each of these videos now. So let's just see what this guy has to say. Let's start with this one.
Hey, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. That's the direction we're headed, with never-ending payments and never-ending subscriptions with never-ending price increases. And now, to fix affordable housing, we have the 50-year mortgage plan. It's almost like they want to work us to death. Because to be able to pay a 50-year mortgage loan, I can only imagine they're going to need to raise the retirement age. And if we're going from 30-year mortgage loans to 50-year mortgage loans, I guess we're going to go from retirement age being 67 to retirement age being 87. No thanks. I'd rather live in this.
I like how this guy still thinks there's going to be a retirement age by the time he gets there. Me and my wife are under no illusion that we are not putting our money into a pension scheme anymore. So we can see the writing on the wall. That age is ever creeping higher and higher with each like 10-year increments. Okay. And according to that system, I've got another like 35 years of work before I'm allowed to access the money I have saved my entire life to live off in retirement, which will be like 67 or 70 by the time I'm at that point. Apparently, you know, so far that's the prediction, but yeah, we'll see. And I reckon by the time I even get to retirement age, they're gonna the pension scheme, Ponzi scheme, whatever it is just gonna collapse under the crippling weight of the debt of that the boomers have left behind after they're all gone. And obviously, because of the lack of jobs and the people paying into the system anymore, because of AI takeover, there won't be a pension fund to draw on in the future, and all that money I've saved is gone. It's already gone, you know. So I reckon it's a scam now, and me and my wife have decided we're not going to put our money locked away into a pension scheme where the government gives you 20%, you know. I'd rather risk putting it in some kind of stocks and shares ISA now and let it grow that way, where I can access it whenever I would like and retire whenever I would like, than into some government-led scheme which is just reliant on younger generations paying for the older generations, you know. And you see how it's going. Impossible. So yeah, we've changed tactic completely. And this guy's still talking about retirement as though it's even going to be a possibility. Just makes me laugh.
This. And that's my chicken coop.
Making homeless.
Oh yeah, and also 50-year mortgages. Why don't just cut the middleman out? Why stop there? Why not do generational mortgages? Let's just let my children pay off my debt after I'm gone. Let's keep the mortgage going, you know, and once I die, my children's children can be responsible for paying this off over let's do this over like an 80-year generational span instead or something. How about we do that instead? Like, why beat around the bush here? Is this where it's going? Like, you will never own something is clearly what this is all about.
Homelessness illegal in a country whose minimum wage is $7.25 with a median rent of $1,400 is evil.
If you are a poor, like myself, you might be asking the question, how do people have money? How are they affording anything in life? And I'm here to tell you, they're not. How do I know? I'm a barista. I am. And today, the amount of debit and credit cards that were declined were astronomical. I'm talking the highest amount ever in one day that I've had to go up to people and be like, hey, I'm so sorry. Actually, this didn't go through. Do you have another card? And then them all giving me the same answer. Oh, really? No, I don't. And then leaving. Because, like, they're just giving me their cards, hoping, praying, not checking their bank account, just hoping it gets through so they can have a little caffeine to get them through their day. We don't have money. None of us have money, you know? They're just pretending they do, which sometimes works. Sometimes you have a few bucks just to get your coffee. Other times you don't. It was sad. It was a sad day. I also, during the holidays, this is the best tipping season. People love to tip during the holidays. And I know a lot of people feel weird about tipping. That's your business. I will tell you, it is the lowest tipping season I've ever had. And it's fine. It's fine. I'm not mad at it. I'm just letting
You know, I thought I gesticulated a lot when I spoke with my hands, but she is setting a new standard, isn't she? She is intense. No, but no, seriously, it's sad. Imagine that, you know, you don't even know if you have any money in your account because you don't even want to look. Because, you know, looking is just going to make you sad and realize everything's terrible. You're probably already in your overdraft by this point and maxed it out completely. And it's kind of like, well, I'll just tap it and see. Let's just play. Let's just put it to the fates. Do I have money or not? You know, what a horrible situation to be in. You know, and I do not at all at any moment take for granted that I thankfully do have the money in the bank. But this is in no small, like, I cannot emphasize enough that's only the case because my wife is like an ultimate saving machine who can somehow take the smallest wage and make it just work somehow through stringent rules and pot setting and money setting. And I think without her, I'd be in the exact same situation because I am. No one taught me in school how to handle money and deal with interest rates and mortgages, so you've got to kind of just figure it out, right? Anyway, let's keep going.
just letting you guys know where we stand. Economically, it's low. So if you're like, damn, I'm so poor, everyone else has money, we don't. None of us do. We're faking it, baby. We're pretending.
I got my electric bill for the month of November, and it's $300, and it hasn't even been cold yet. Last winter, I was paying up to $700 a month in the winter months. Yeah, $700. So what am I doing this year? I'm going to freeze. I'm keeping my thermostat on 55 when I go to work, and when I come home, whatever room I'm in, I'm going to turn the heat on in that room until it gets warm, and then turn it back again when I go to sleep. Because this is the life of planet Earth. You work just to pay your rent and your heat and your air, whatever the hell it is. Okay?
Well, this one's actually really, it's quite sad because, I mean, this is the difference between life and death for like old people and the sick people, you know, people who, the vulnerable, shall we call them, whatever that is. Like, not being able to stay warm in the winter will literally kill off people. It will. Like, people will die from that quite easily. And in the UK, you know, we get lows of like maybe in Celsius. This is like minus, you know, sometimes like -8, -10 in maybe extreme areas of the UK. And that's actually nothing compared to what's going on in like some places in America and Canada. Like, you guys can drop like maybe like 15 to 20 degrees Celsius below in some situations. And, you know, that will kill you. That will just kill you if you have no heat, if you have no protection from that. But even in the UK, you know, we have this problem of like many elderly people who don't have any money. Like, their pensions, their properties, you know, are all being sold and then spent up very quickly on paying for later life care in these care homes, you know. Which, I mean, luckily the care homes keep them warm, I suppose. But then even then, the standard of care is terrible, so it just gets even worse. But I mean, for those who do stay in their home, they haven't got a choice. Like, they have to leave and sell and use that money that could have been an inheritance for their children on just trying to live out the rest of their artificially extended life by this point, you know, from not freezing to death by cramming themselves into these very decrepit, run-down, poorly run care homes, as they call them. And it's just a horrible situation. It's either that or I freeze to death. Like, yeah, that's pretty bad. It's a pretty terrible situation to be in. But at the same time, we also know, well, you know, the powers that shouldn't be, those that have proclaimed themselves the gods of this reality, well, they want to reduce the population dramatically. They would be very happy with an extremely reduced population of about 500 million as opposed to the supposed 9 billion or 8 billion we've got right now, whatever the number is. That's a huge, significant drop. So they really don't care if a few old people die of frostbite. They do not care. And in many ways, this feels like it's been facilitated on purpose to be that way, doesn't it? In many ways. I mean, I remember when it was when the war in Ukraine kicked off, our energy bills skyrocketed in the UK because they said they no longer had access to oil or something like this, or it affected the gas pipelines or something. But they already did this before Russia invaded Ukraine. They already did this. They already made this choice and the decision to do this. And then pinned it on after the fact that it was because of this. And it's kind of, no. You did this on purpose. You have driven up prices to basically make life hell for people. You did it on purpose. The price cap came off. You tripled your prices. And yeah, just to heat a small 2-bedroomed home was very expensive for me. And even this very small 3-bed I live in now, with a small box office room, you can't even call a bedroom, because it's not even like 2x2, which I'm currently in. Even this is like quite expensive to heat, and I don't even want to look at the bill. I don't look at the bill, but I know just for I think it's just for electricity alone, they're charging something like £100, which is maybe like $140 or something like that to you guys. And this is a very small house. Very small, and that's just for the electricity. Never mind the gas on top of that as well. It's a huge bill per month, And like I said, when you've got like 2 kids, you have to use heat a lot. You have to heat water a lot, and we just got, our family's like, we're just not gonna look. Just let the money come out and just forget about it. Like whatever, we're better off just not looking. Yeah, wearing extra clothes is a good one. Pam Crane. That's probably the best thing to do. And we try and layer up. In this room, the heating is off because it gets hot in here anyway while I'm sweating away talking to you. I've turned a lot of the radiators off just to avoid this problem, and we only heat the room that we're actually in. That's the best thing to do. But it's rough. And I remember there was maybe like 2-3 years ago, there was a sudden tripling of prices, and they were looking for any excuse to blame it on. Any excuse at all, and the whole Russian thing was just a perfect scapegoat, because who's going to question that? Yeah, these people are sneaky. These are sneaky. Let's keep going.
Okay, and then whatever's left, you get to go food shopping. So today, food shopping is a privilege. If you're lucky enough to have any money left after you pay your freaking rent and your utilities, you get to go buy food. There you go, ran over.
Look, if you all even give a anymore, I don't even understand why. We're literally priced out of every single life milestone, from marriage and children to owning a home and moving out. There's no reason to care anymore. Somebody give me a reason to give a because I cannot find one. We're literally...
Well, I got married and had kids. I think it depends on how you want to do it. Do you want to have that £10,000 wedding, or £15,000, £20,000, £30,000 wedding you think you're supposed to have? Me and my wife did not do that. We spent maybe $3,000 in total. Everything was done on a budget, and we literally limited the whole service down to closest friends and family only. We didn't turn it into it, and then there was an after party, come if you want, for the rest of them, But it was you can do a cheap wedding if you want to, so you're not priced out of marriage. I think that's a bit of an over-exaggeration based on unnecessary cultural standards. And I think if people lower their standards a little bit, you can get married and have a decent enough time. I think that is true. But in terms of having kids, I think if you have kids, you'll make do no matter what situation you're in. I know that doesn't sound right on the surface, but it really is. You can do it, and if you have to miss a meal or two sometimes, usually it's okay. And fasting isn't always that bad. It's not necessarily the end of the world, And I would never limit having children because of things like this. I think that's a bit of a kind of what they want. They want you to feel like you can't have these things. It's hopeless. Why even bother? And part of me just screams like a gut feeling, like that's exactly what they want from us. They want us to not have children. They want us to not be together and have strong relationships and build lives and work together. And they want us to be separate and lonely and miserable until old age and dependent on them, the state instead, living in a perpetual state of loneliness and fear. And I'd say, screw them, have kids anyway, do it anyway, and you'll be fine. Like God will provide. Children are blessings, not curses, we have to remember that. But I feel like all of this stuff I'm watching, it's kind of younger generations feel like, well, I can't afford to do that. It's kind of, who told you that? How much do you think you really need? I mean, I know there are there are some expenses, don't get me wrong, but there are things you can do. You can make it easier on yourself. There are programs as well. There are things that can be done. So I'm not fully on board with this idea that it's completely impossible having children today. I'm not saying it's easy, but having children is never easy, no matter what the circumstances. And if you go back to I don't know, the early 1900s when things were pretty crappy for everybody, that did not stop them from popping out 5 to 7 children. It did not stop them, because it's an addition. It's an extra body there to help as well in many cases. And although that's not what your children should be for, but if you have a loving family and you raise them right and you help each other, it's teamwork. They're all involved. Everybody's involved, And I just think we're better in numbers and together than isolated and lonely and nihilistic and giving up on life itself, which is literally procreation. So I'm not fully on board with this attitude, but I get it. I get why they feel this way. But at the same time, I feel like that's the point. They want young men and women to feel like this man is saying here. Anyway, let's keep going.
Literally priced out of development. We can't even afford to live. Why should I care about anything anymore? Except maybe 20, 30 years from now investing. Is there still a glimmer of hope for that? But we're not even living. We're not even living to live. We're just working to live, guys.
You know why I'm leaving this country? Because no one's going to do anything about this. We just found out some of the most horrific things, which if even a morsel of it is true, it's really bad. And no one's doing anything about it. So for those of you who are like, you should stay.
She sounds like a conspiracy theorist, doesn't she? What she's seen. She's not elaborating yet, but I wonder what she's discovered that's making her realize that everything that she thought she knew is a complete lie and was surrounded by evil, psychopathic, narcissistic Satanists who want to control every aspect of her life and kill us all. I hope that's what she's figured out. I hate to break it to her, though. Moving out of her country isn't going to work. It's just as bad here and everywhere else as well. This is not a country or a land problem. This is a spiritual problem, fundamentally. This is a problem of evil, and evil has no borders. It has no boundaries. So, it's because my wife is like, she wants to escape this country to go to America. So, and it's kind of, I get it, maybe you guys have more of a chance than we do because you have the right to defend yourself and the whole freedom of speech thing, so-called. So maybe there's more of a chance, but maybe I would say to this woman, well, don't come here. That's my first bit of advice. It ain't better.
Should stay and fight. With whom shall I fight this battle? Because everyone's still, boycotting Star Schmucks and McFolds and holding parades. And I'm not opposed to those things. I'm still doing those as well. But if that's all we're doing, yeah, we're just all going to sit in this escape and watch. We are no better than the audience members at the Coliseum. If you decide to actually fight, if anyone decide, and I know, I shouldn't. We need a leader. Great. There isn't one at this time. As soon as the fight actually starts and you guys decide, the majority decides to actually stand up to this shit, give me a call. I'll get on the first plane and come right back and help you out. Until then, I'm out.
See, this is another thing, another aspect I think does need to get discussed more is these people have a boycott mindset. She clearly, I think she comes from a more liberal bent, a more left-wing bent from the way she was talking there. And she obviously, the injustices that are being done against the minorities and so forth is probably more that angle she's coming at it from, I assume. Just some assumptions there. And she thinks the only solution is bloody revolution. And we need a strong, charismatic leader to do this type of thing. And in a way, again, that's exactly the playbook that's being played against everybody. So even those on the right with more of a right-wing bent, you know, more conservative bent, even they feel the same. We need some kind of revolution. We need some kind of civil war. We need to do something to oust the problem in our country that's making everything terrible. And the other side feels the same as well. So if you want to foment a civil war, they're doing it really, really well. Like the controllers, that's perfect. And everyone's in their own isolated echo chamber on each side of this political left-right paradigm. In their own echo chambers, feedback looping off each other to get more riled up and terrified of one side or the other. And I think like a full revolution style communist socialist takeover of the country is one angle, and then the full don't tread on me ultra libertarian conservative, we're going to take back our country, make it great and get rid of all those who would go against our freedoms and our constitution types, are also feeling like we need to go to war and sort out and get rid of the evil out of our country. So yeah, you got civil war there, right there. You got a divide I don't see being fixed. And that's exactly the point. They want people feeling so much like nothing will change unless we take physical action, not realizing our battle is not with flesh and blood. This is a spiritual problem, fundamentally. This is what happens when you remove God from the equation. Okay, and yes, evil men in positions of power, even behind the scenes, not the puppets you see on the show on the TV who you think are in control. There are people behind the scenes who have fomented this situation. Okay, there are people who have been working to make this the case. And she is basically the perfect subject. She's the product they're after. Okay, exacerbated, desperate people who want radical, violent, bloody overhaul of the old system. Order out of chaos is the Freemasonic slogan, the Ordo ab Chaos, and the whole point is that a phoenix will rise from the ashes of the destruction of that chaos that they're going to cause, and that phoenix is their order, their newly established order that they have planned well in advance as a solution to the problem that has just occurred, which they created. Never forget that. Never lose sight of that. And I think a lot of these people don't know yet that they're being played to such a high, above the board level. They're on the ground feeling it and they know there's something wrong and they're angry, so they're going to react. And that's where they've got you. Don't react. Think and then act. But don't react. You have to think about what it is. And you'll realize the action that needs to be taken is not violence. It's not an overthrow or a revolution of any kind. It's we need to start taking personal responsibility for our role in the mess and then helping one another regardless of their beliefs. And that radical change of selflessness is where real change will happen in civilization and society. It's the only way. Love thy neighbor, for this very reason, and love your Lord God above everything else on top of that, and everything else will fall in place. Okay? But right now, it's the opposite. Everyone's divided, and everyone wants to kill each other. Everyone's blaming each other for the problems that are all around us. And for good reason, because every platform in these echo chambers is creating their own evidences of why it's their fault over there. They're the ones you should be angry at that did this to us. They're the reason X, Y, and Z is so expensive now. Go and get them. But the people who are doing that are the ones who are fomenting this. Okay, they're the shit stirrers. They're the ones who are turning up the boiling pot and everybody's just a frog sat in it, It's illusion. It's a smoke. It's Masonic theatre through and through. It's smoke and mirrors, and we need to get grounded in that. We need to realise that. Anyway, that's my... Let's carry on. Let's listen to what else they have to say.
Does anybody else just get like weird urges just not to be here anymore? Because that's where I'm at in my life. Like, I'm so sick of my life. And the only reason I'm here is because of my dog. What's up, bub? If I didn't have my dog, I would not be here. And it's really starting to hit me today for some reason. Like, I wish I had, friends, family. Just over it, to be honest.
I think this is about the truest statement going on in the world.
Well, I'm glad he didn't have any solutions. He was just over it, I guess. I mean, I think most people feel how he was feeling. Just apathy. Nihilism and apathy. It's like, you know what? What's the point? Like, I'm just gonna live my life quietly with my dog and just keep my head down and just do whatever I can, but I'm not gonna care how it goes down anymore. No investment in the future of things, an acceptance that everything's screwed and we're done for. So whatever, I give up. That's where they've got most people. That is the general mood and trend for the younger generations, and most of the older generations who already accrued all their wealth and then pulled up the ladder behind them do not care. They do not care about the problems of the younger generations. They're going to be dead in 20 years' time, maybe 15 years' time. They honestly do not care. Okay, so we have the younger generations, Gen X, Millennials, and Gen Z, who are sat there thinking, what are we going to do? We're screwed. And the older generations who are running these corporations and already have theirs, honestly, they have just checked out. They're on their 13th cruise of the year. They are gone. They don't care. It's not their problem. That's how they've been raised to view and behave and act in most cases. Not all, but I would say at least 80 to 90% of that generation above Gen X, they just don't care. They have clocked out themselves and they've moved on. They honestly, they're happy. They don't care if the world burns. They don't care about their children's future. That's the general consensus. And it seems to be, and a lot of people have noticed that too, and they're very upset and angry about that. So it's not only is it political divides, but it's generational divides on a mass scale. And again, this is what happens when you remove God from the equation. And then your only God then is yourself. Okay, and we're living in a solipsistic nightmare of hedonism and self-indulgence and get your own and screw everyone else. This is what you get. You get a society that's turning into this. And it's this isn't going anywhere good, is all I'm going to say, unless there's a literal, real awakening. And I don't mean like a consciousness awakening. I mean, people just realize that it's God. They need God. They need direction. They need a sense of morality back, and they need to have a divine sense of justice and a hatred of evil to the point where tables get flipped and the right people get blamed, not just the nearest person to us because it's convenient for our narratives that we've come up with in our head. Okay, there are real enemies out there, real tangible people responsible for this, and we on the bottom are not paying attention to it. Well, most people aren't anyway. And the ones that are called wacky, crazy conspiracy theories. So what are you going to do about that, eh?
In the world right now. I think that everyone is exhausted post-pandemic, the world, the exhaustion, the stimulation, the rhetoric. There is this constant pressure on everyone. And I think like capitalism, end of days kind of thing with like growth. And I'm not for it anymore. It's time to slow the down. I feel like I'm on the slow it down and catch my breath moment. Who's with me?
I think most people are feeling that. Like, and look, this guy seems pretty chill. I like his attitude, and I think he's just acknowledging that's a problem. I think everybody is chronically burnt out. Burnout's the word. That's the popular phrase now. Everyone's burnt out or crashing out. That's another popular term that's going around. Either mentally breaking down or just giving up because it's too much. It's too much. I was listening to someone talk about teachers, for example. They're apparently they are the biggest profession right now with the biggest burnout rates of teachers just losing it. They're giving up and they're quitting en masse as well. And because they can't cope with the younger generations of children, apparently. Like, they just cannot handle The children that are turning up into schools now because apparently they can't read, they can't go to the bathroom independently, and these are like 6-year-olds, you know, and also some of them can't even eat independently, like they need help eating still. And it's kind of like teachers are taking on roles they were never signed up for, so they're just quitting en masse as well, and they're breaking down, and they can't control the children. And a lot of the children obviously use ChatGPT for everything, get AI, so they don't actually care, and they keep saying to the teachers, like, why should I learn to read or write when ChatGPT can do all that for me? So, like, you know, ridiculous. And I've heard some arguments saying, well, that's actually the future, and kids should be using ChatGPT. And if you're not teaching them to use it, you're not actually preparing them for the future we're going to be living in. I've heard the pro arguments for why kids aren't stupid, they're just of a different generation, and these old, outdated things such as reading and writing need to be left behind. It's not 1995 anymore, you know, that kind of attitude. And all I can think is that's why we're homeschooling. Because in a world, in a future where nobody can read or write, the ones that can will be gods. They will run the show. It's idiocracy at its finest, you know. Like if you have a child who can read and write growing up in the world in the future, these are the leaders of the future. Okay, in a world where people cannot read or write or think independently from what a AI algorithm has told them to think and say. Because if you can't read or write for yourself, you're trusting that you're being told what something says by an algorithm, and you can't check it for yourself. That's a terrible future. That's a terrifying future, you know. But like I said, the teachers who possibly could be teaching them children to read or write are checking out, and most people who teach in schools are failures anyway, who just got the job because it's the only thing that would pay them, and they actually don't want to be there. They don't want to teach, and those who do actually have a passion for teaching, well, they're successful, right? Because they actually have the talents and the skills and don't want to go out there teaching about it. They want to go and utilize them instead and be successful in their fields. So yeah, the whole school system's a scam from the beginning, and it's getting worse. It's getting worse. And people say, well, it's the parents' fault. Yeah, probably. I think a lot of iPad kids could be an explanation. But it's also fundamentally the school's job, is it not? That's why we send our kids to school. Is it to learn to read or write? Is that right? Wasn't that what the sales pitch was originally? Or is it now? Oh, now it's just that you need to socialize your kids. Is that what it is? Into what? Socialize them into what? Socialism? I don't think so. Yeah. That's my rant. So I went on a tangent there. Massive tangent. Let's get back to this anyway. Let's get back to this.
Does anybody else feel like there must be something real good coming, something real big coming, because all you do constantly is have warfare in your life in every single area? I know it can't be just me, because I've talked to so many people about this. It can't be. Like, if it's not one thing, it's another, it's another, it's another, it's another. Like, you literally don't get a break from anything.
I just said this. I've been saying this in a lot of streams about my own life. When October rolls around, the next 3 months of my life become living hell. Every single year. For the past 7 years. Like, mainly since meeting my wife, but I don't think there's a correlation there, funnily enough. I think, again, it's a spiritual warfare thing. It just seems like as we try to grow together and we start making headway and progress, and like it looks like something's about to change for the better, or like I said, we're about to buy a house, or this type of thing, or something, or, you know, we've got kids on the way. As soon as October hits, everything falls apart and horrible things start happening to us, one thing after the other, and those things we thought we were about to achieve get ripped away from us, and then we get health problems as well, and the world starts attacking us, and everything just goes horribly wrong, to the point where I'm just like, what is going on? And it happened again this year. Like, it happened again. We thought this year would be different. We were lulled into a false sense of security through our own naivety, and I just thought, this woman sounds like she's saying the exact same thing, and I know everybody's going through it. Like, it's not just us, you know. I'm not trying to say, oh, sympathy for me, woe is me. I'm saying, like, this can't just be me, right? And clearly not. So let's keep going.
Anything. And it's constant stress, constant anxiety, constantly with one thing coming at you, and then you resolve that, and there's another one, then there's another one, then there's another one. Literally, people can't afford to pay their bills. It's bad in so many different areas. So Does anybody else feel that right now? Like spiritually, that like something big has to be coming, especially for the people of God, because there's no reprieve from any of this, and it just keeps getting worse, and you just feel like you get no rest, no break.
I wonder what she thinks is coming. I wonder if she's a little seasonist. He's probably not. She's probably thinking more of the futurist dispensationalist idea that maybe Christ is about to return, or revelation, tribulation is about to start in some way. But it certainly feels like we're at a point where this cannot continue, right? Like this, there's no good end for humanity with the way it's currently going and at the pace it's going. Like if this doesn't, the brakes aren't hit now with the progressions of all these tangents like AI, transhumanism stuff, you know, and the degradation of education and minds and the younger generations, the loss of property and the devaluation of money and all these other problems that are all piling up and snowballing away from us. It's like if this doesn't get stopped, then yeah, I mean, what possible future do we actually have here? Like this is unprecedented. I know everyone says, oh, every generation thought the generation was the end of the world or something. It's like, I don't think so. I don't think it was like this. I really don't think it was like this. I really don't think this is comparable to any point in history that we're aware of. I say aware of because I know a lot of our history is buried from us, but from our perspective, like this feels pretty damn unique, the situation we're in. It's kind of, there is no escape anymore either. It's every single country, every single peoples, every nation, every generation is going through this exact same degradation of standard of life to every level, and it really feels like evil is winning, doesn't it? That's what it feels like. And all our movies tell us in the 11th hour, in the all is lost moment, a hero swoops in to save us from our misery. And I bet those bastards have some kind of hero lined up in the wakes to save us from this misery, and he is the one that's going to usher in the new world order. He is the one that's going to be our light bringer. You know, he's going to be Lucifer in the making to usher in a new age of enlightenment or some bullshit like that, because the programming dictates it. Okay, that's what we've been programmed to expect. And this woman, in a way, is saying, is something about to happen? Do you just feel like something big's about to come and a major change? It's like, yeah, you feel like that because you've been programmed to feel that way. And the horrors we're seeing around us are not just the consequence of human ineptitude and stupidity and poor decisions. It's an evil, controlled, contrived agenda, hundreds, if not thousands of years in the making to get it to this point. The degradation is not natural. It's constructed. It's scripted. It's planned well in advance. And our reactions were programmed into us through the media that they own. And a lot of these thoughts and feelings we're watching in these videos are exactly where they want us. These are the things they want the people thinking and waiting for. Especially if we're in the little season. I mean, if everyone's waiting for Jesus to turn up from the Christian route, then this whole destruction of the earth from that perspective is like, oh, well, you know, all this destruction's a good thing. It means Jesus is about to rock back up and everything's going to be perfect. And it's kind of, well, if we're in the little season, no, that's not what's happening here. A war's coming. And it won't go down like the tribulation narrative goes down, because that's a thing of the past. That's 536 AD stuff of the past. That's gone. Whatever we're going through now, we don't have a playbook for it, really. We need to look at what their agenda is, and then from that we can extrapolate maybe where they're going to go with it. So that's the best we can do, but the Bible doesn't tell us what happens in this short season if that's where we are, just that Satan gathers an army to make war with the camp of saints. And how they get to that point is what we should be really looking at here. But I think this passiveness, this expecting something big to come, something to just change everything, something big's going to happen, you know, I think that's the programming. That's the program, that's the narrative to justify the next step. Let's just keep going. Oop. Sorry, I skipped ahead there.
Give up right now. Anybody else feel that way? I know you're out there. Somebody else has to feel the way that I do because this is crazy.
This is the kind of home people love to judge, but in a housing market where a starter home is $350 to $400K, this might be the only shot normal Americans have left. Yep, it's a mobile home, not a luxury condo, not a McMansion, but it's safe, it's affordable, and it won't drown someone in debt. Everyone screams affordable housing, but when we show them the solution, suddenly they're too good for it. Make that make sense. Now we're giving this one a light upgrade, skirting repairs, power wash, fresh paint, a little bit of rehab, just bringing it back to life, but no bulldozers needed. The inside's not great, but it's not destroyed. Most investors would walk away, but we don't. We fix it. Now you can hate on mobile homes all you want, but you know what people really hate? $2,000 of rent and saving nothing. This little home provides privacy, storage, parking.
This guy's saying words like affordable housing, little home. That house has about 5 times more square footage than the house I'm currently living in, right? Okay. That is a mansion by British home standards. I would live in that. That is fantastic. That thing is huge. Do not turn your nose up at stuff like that, honestly. In fact, I implore every American, if you feel a little bit bad about your home and you think it's not big enough, come live in England for just a week, okay? And you will learn the value of your property. I'm telling you right now. Let's carry on.
Parking, a yard, and no shared walls with other tenants. We don't need more luxury housing. We need attainable housing. Homes normal people can own, not lease forever. Would you live here? Smart move or trash housing?
I live off grid. I started off in a 2-3 person tent from Walmart, like the cheap $30 one. And I recently just upgraded to a 16-foot or a 5-meter bell tent from Stout Tents. It's the double door version. It seems super durable, super sturdy. I did a lot of research on bell tents before picking this one. I'm going to live in this bell tent while I finish up the 10x12 starter cabin. Hopefully it'll be done in the spring, but I got this set up for the most part, not exactly how I want it, but again, it's getting dark out. So yeah, over here I plan on doing like my remote job and keeping my cooking supplies. I got this beautiful antique set from my grandma that her parents supposedly thrifted. That's gonna be one of my projects that I'm looking forward to. Is redoing those and bringing them up to snuff.
All I have to say about this is, where are her parents? She seems young. She seems like she's in her 20s, isn't she? Something like that, you know, maybe mid-20s, early 20s, maybe fresh out of university or college. And this is what she's had to do. She has to live in a tent while she attempts to build her own home from a flat pack kit in some way. And while she's doing that, she's living out of a tent. Why have her parents not simply said, just come live with us? Now, maybe she hasn't got parents in her life. Maybe not. But she just mentioned her grandma. She has family, you know, of an older generation. Clearly the grandma's passed away now, and this has been passed down to her in some way. But it's kind of like, how did grandma feel? Like, okay, granddaughter, I bequeath to you my mahogany set of drawers for the bedroom. This will go lovely in your tent. You think she was happy with that? You know? Why didn't grandma say to her children, why have you let your child live in these conditions? Why can't she just live with you? And it's kind of, why doesn't that happen? I do feel like one of the major solutions to this housing crisis of unaffordability is that we should be living as family households again, like we used to, like most other cultures do, rent-free. Like it seems like white Western Christian culture developed this idea of you have to be kicked out of the house at 18 and make it on your own, or else, you know, you're not getting help from us, you're out now, and that's it. You know, and if you're living with us, you're paying rent. And it's kind of, well, I don't know where that culture came from. But if you look at most other cultures, that is not the case. That is not the case. Family homes are probably the norm in most cases. Okay? And they look after each other. The wealth is shared among them in a sense. But it seems like we have been given this terrible mindset, which is causing circumstances like this for this poor girl, like, and many others are her age, I imagine, as well, men and women. Like, this is awful.
Snuff, because I don't know how old they are, but they definitely need work. Beautiful, beautiful pieces though. And then I got my little side table stand thing. I'm gonna keep my books and like my knitting and my crochet projects to tinker on. And then I just got a little camping cot. Eventually, I want to switch this out for either a queen or a king, I'm not sure. And then
sometimes family can't be there. It's not all black and white, revered wolf. I get that. Look, I'm not saying everybody has the luxury of family. I'm not at all. Like, I'm not saying that. And I know some people have no choice. Like, they don't have a choice to do this. But I feel like this girl might not be one of those people. Like, I feel like the no choice has been forced upon her, in a sense, when so it could have gone better if the family cared, is what I'm trying to say here. Like, if we had higher societal standards, this probably wouldn't be a situation, This is a symptom of a greater problem, is all I'm saying here. This isn't right. This should not be the case, especially in what we call a first world, fully developed country, right, by the Earth standards. This is not what people should be resorting to. At the very least, it wasn't even that long ago, I felt like it was normal for somebody to, while the house is being built or having work done on it or something, or you're waiting for something to be paid off, that you live with your parents for a little bit and save up a bit of money. You know what I mean? That seems to be the normal thing, but it's like that's not even allowed anymore, or it's like it's shameful or something, or I don't know what's going on, but the dynamic has shifted dramatically, and like young people are thrust into a world of unaffordability and homelessness and chaos and uncertainty. And it's like the older generations just don't think that's the case, or like, because it was different when they were their age and they made it on their own, when interest rates were so much lower and wages were so much higher and hours were so much lower and it was just, I think there's this huge disconnect which is causing these type of scenarios that it isn't right. This is a symptom of broken families, like on a big scale. And I know you weren't attacking me. I'm not offended. I'm just making that point that, look, I know some people don't have a choice, but I feel like this is a bigger problem. I feel like this is something else.
And then this side's just got this extra space right over here. I do have a cutout for a camping stove. I don't.
Oh, looky her.
I'm not planning on getting a camping stove. I'm just going to tough it out this winter because I don't want to drop a couple $100s on that and then hopefully turn around next year and buy an actual wood stove for the cabin.
I can't afford to cook food yet. Maybe in a couple of years if I'm lucky. That's
the
awful.
Lowest it's been is 22 degrees, and I was perfectly fine in my 0-degree bag. A little bit chilly, but I put my blanket over my head and I was perfectly fine. I do have a negative 25-degree sleeping bag coming in. Can't wait for that. Pretty much just for insurance, and I do like to be on the hotter side. But yeah, this is the long-awaited bell tent, and I'm super excited to finally be in it. It's felt amazing waking up in, and the space is just, it's a blessing. Ironically enough, it's going to be bigger than the cabin, square footage wise, which is crazy to think, but yep.
It feels like we are in a...
You know what, fair play to her. She is, in the face of the property situation in the market and what people of her age, my generation and my age and younger are up against, she's clearly on her own. She did not give up. Like, she is working hard there. That is like, talk about pulling yourself up by your bootstraps. She's like, okay then, she took that personally. She says, I'm going to live out in the wild and build my own house from scratch. Like, that's all I'm going to do. Like, fair enough, that's a go-getter. Like, she's good for her. God is looking after her, like, that's for sure. And I'll pray for her and I hope for the best. I really do. I hope that's a happy ending.
An emotional standoff in our society. Everyone needs support and no one can give it. No one has the space for it. We're all collectively doing terrible. And as a millennial that has, I guess, lived through a lot of once in a lifetime shit, The time I'm living in now feels unprecedented, and I think we're all feeling that. But I sort of say that because I feel bad for Gen Z and Gen Alpha or whoever that is, because those people have never known the old world, and us millennials were the last ones to know the old world, where despite the 2008 financial crisis and all that bullshit and 9/11 and how that changed everything, when I was a kid and when I was a teenager, I was getting older and going into the world with the expectation that more or less I was going to have a normal life. And there was never a thought about anything like this happening like it is now. However, that could have just been me not paying attention to the warnings that were there. But I do.
No, we like, I'm 33, so I'm a couple of years older than this guy, you know. No, we were told to do a certain set of things, and we all did the certain set of things because we grew up in a world where everything was stable still, relatively, you know. And we were told, you know, you work hard, you study hard, you go to college, you go to university, you get a degree, there'll be a job there waiting for you at the end of it, you might get a career out of it, and then you can get the house, and then you can get the family, and everything will just work out. No, just like it did for us. And these are just the things you've got to do, you know. And we believed it so much because we could see that it worked for them. But we were the generation, this transfer generation of like born in like the 90s to like 95. All what worked for the previous years, even some older millennials who were born in like the late 80s, it worked for them. But we were there just on that year boundary where that's the year it cut off for us with everything. Whatever it was, whether it was getting the university degree. We went to university, we got the degree. Oh, degrees are worthless now because everybody's got them. It was too late for us to have the foresight to realize that it was the revelation came just after we made the mistake. You know, it's kind of like, okay, you know, now you need to get on the property ladder. So you go there, you save for the mortgage and everything, you get this, and then you go there and it's kind of, oh, there's been a collapse and now the interest rates have just gone through the roof and you can't afford the mortgage anymore. Record low interest rates. Yeah, you just missed that by about a month. That's how it was. And that's our entire life. That's our generation. That's what we're going through. It's like almost there. We almost got it. Oh, no, psych. It just gets taken away from us. And yeah, we're bitter, we're angry, but we're also like, I give up. And we do remember a time where we can see it worked. It was working. It might not have been perfect, you know, but like millions of people within a society had made something that kind of worked. And people were happy and at least growing, or at least had the freedom to pursue what makes them have some joy in life, surrounded to break free from the mundane misery of whatever's going on. Like, people could have options, and we just don't have them. But we do see it. Like, our childhood was good because we were raised and growing in a time where everything was going quite well for most people. And then, you know, as we came into adulthood and had to become into those people making those choices and doing those things, mass immigration, like overwhelmed like medical care systems, like impossible housing financial crashes and skyrocketing prices, wars and rumors of wars, you know, just one thing. And then we realized we're growing into a world where it's kind of all that's gone, just gone out of the way, ladder pulled up, sit in a bit, and you've been trained to live in a world that doesn't exist anymore. That's what it feels like for us. And we can't tell older generations this because they don't believe us. They don't understand because they got theirs and now they don't care. They don't care. They're just going to bunker down and covet what's theirs now. And you didn't make it, that's your problem. You just didn't work hard enough is the cope they want to try and tell us, but it's not the case. That's just not the case. And these people telling you right now, this is people telling you this is not the case. Like, this is what we're in. And I'm not going to blame older generations for it. I'm not. A systematic regime has done this to us on purpose. There are people at the top who have done this to us. And if you don't know that, you need to figure it out quickly.
I do feel like everything happening now is mostly unnecessary with the exception of climate change. That shit was always coming for us. And we were always going to pay for that. And there was...
Yeah, that's nonsense too. They control the weather. They are literally pretending that we're in a climate crisis by purposefully creating disasters all around the earth and blaming it on climate change to justify taxing you for your carbon footprints. You know what net zero carbon means? No humans. Because we're made of carbon. They want to kill you all. And to justify it, what he just said was a talking point of the death cult many people have been indoctrinated into. Okay, that's all that is. But let's keep going.
There was always going to be consequences for the way we have lived in a capitalistic society that pretends that we live on a finite planet, and the way we just consume and consume and produce and just make stupid plastic bull.
No, they know what they're doing. This isn't stupidity that caused this. Not at all. The people who have done this have done it on purpose. This is not ignorance. This is malevolence. Okay? We didn't do this. I didn't do this. This guy here, he did not do this. But he's blaming himself as though it's like collectively this is humanity's mistake and we're paying the price. It's like, no, evil bastards who worship the devil have literally done this to us on purpose. That has to be understood now. I know there's money in endlessly pontificating about the psychological collective impact of humanity's decisions and whatever. But at this point, we have to just cut through the nonsense and get straight to the point. No, people have purposely done this to us. Evil people have the reins and have facilitated circumstances which are hopeless to purposely corral people into the solution they have, which is a totalitarian globalist regime. That's all it is. And climate change is just that's the vehicle, isn't it? That's the wrecking ball they're using to just slam down systems, saying, you don't care about the earth? And they're the ones burning things down with the directed energy weapons. They're the ones doing all of this, causing earthquakes and tsunamis to sweep over people through the technology. Like, these people are playing God and telling us we did it. These are narcissistic, gaslighting, psychopathic abusers at their finest. Don't buy it, man. Look at this. Look at him. Look how beaten down he is, believing he's a cancer on the earth. It's pathetic.
And just the way we've destroyed the earth for mass farming and mass factory farming and all sorts of stuff. So there were always consequences, but I think we all are living the completely unnecessary consequences of just greed. Greed and power will be what ends humanity.
I just found out.
But he speaks as though it's his fault.
That in order to qualify for CalFresh food assistance in the state of California, you have to bring home for a family of two less than $1,758 a month. The average cost of a one-bedroom or studio apartment here in California is $1,400 to $1,800 for a tiny apartment. So if I bring home $1,800 a month, I can pay my rent and part of my car payment, and that's it, but I still wouldn't qualify for assistance with food. I currently have negative $210 in my bank account. I have no room on my credit cards. I have no money to buy groceries. But I still don't qualify for assistance from a system in which that I have paid my entire life because I bring home more money than they determine is appropriate for somebody who needs help with food.
It's almost as though it's a broken system designed to make you desperate. Because anybody with half a brain who can observe the trends and statistics of average house prices and rent prices can see that this is a joke. Of course, people like this are still going to need help. They paid their rent, they paid their electric and gas bills, and their bills, and now they have nothing left. Now they don't need help. It's logically, that's nonsense, isn't it? It's nonsense. And I understand a lot of the unsympathetic arguments are, well, it's a skill issue. Get a better job, work harder. You should have done more to earn more money. Just earn more money. It's kind of, well, from where? Especially in the UK, do you know how many people are competing just for one job? And even then, the job you're going to get is minimum wage, which has not matched inflation. So even working 40 hours a week on minimum wage will not cover just rent anymore. It's kind of, people have no choice. There's no, like, this is one of the situations I'm saying. Like, what are you supposed to do? Like, really? And I think the controllers are pushing it so far beyond absurd to trigger that need and desperate desire to start a revolution and get violent. And I think we're already seeing violence occur right now in America and outbursts of this rage coming out. And they say people are only like 2 meals away or 3 meals away from total revolution and war and bloodshed and murder, right? That's the saying, isn't it? You know, people are only 3 meals away from chaos and total societal collapse. And now it seems like they're purposefully facilitating people not being able to eat food. And when you do that to people, it messes with their head, because most people have not fasted once in their entire life and think when they're hungry, that means they're dying. Like, I am starving to death. That's what people think when hunger hits. And that's not true. That feeling passes after like 10 minutes when the ghrelin wears off. It's actually just normal procedure. It's just your body telling you your stomach's empty. But you have fat stores that are going to keep you going for a very, very, very long time. You need water, sure. You can manage without food for a long, long time. But this whole 3 meals a day bullshit was a manufactured thing. You know, you look into it. It's all made up. None of it's true or necessary at all. In fact, the body needs rest from digestion to heal. If you're not giving it a rest, your body doesn't have time to heal. You get all sorts of problems and infestations and parasites and issues and health problems from overconsumption. But most people, when hunger kicks in, get angry, okay, and scared. Food security kicks in, the fears of food security. And that's when people start doing crazy stuff. But I think if a population, I say, like most Christians, for example, who practice fasting quite regularly, I think we're not going to lose our shit quite as quick. We're going to keep it cool and keep it calm, hopefully, you know, because we're used to going through long periods of time without food on purpose. We've trained for it, in a sense. But the majority of the population haven't. And I think this type of thing, this is like the setup for making people make that step towards violent revolution, which they're begging for it now. And they're literally facilitating situations where this is going to happen because they know what happens when you take food away from their pets. You know, that's how they see you. I don't know.
I'm not sure what poverty index they are using. It's got to be ages old because they're definitely not taking into consideration how much it actually costs to live here when determining if someone deserves to eat.
Does anybody else have mounting anxiety when faced with having to go to the grocery store, or is it just me? Because, like, every time I go, I know it's going to be worse. It's going to be worse. Everything's going to be more expensive than the last time. My husband does a lot of the grocery shopping for our family, so I'm a little bit insulated from it. But when I do go, it feels like I spend the entire trip being like, what the hell? How is this the price of orange juice? What do you mean coffee is on sale for $18 a pound? Wait a minute, the last time I bought this yogurt, it was 6 ounces and now it's 5.3. And I remember a couple of years ago when it was 8 ounces and now it's 5.3, right? It's the fact that prices are going up, the shrinkflation is increasing. I went to the grocery store today with one of my kids. We had to get a couple of ingredients. She wanted to make scones, so we needed to get some heavy cream. And then there's this vegan chia pudding that she wanted to make, and so we needed espresso powder. And while we were there, we got some yogurt and a couple other things. I got cranberries so I could make a cranberry orange upside down cake. A bag of cranberries was $4. I feel like a year ago it was $1.69, and 3 years ago it was 69 cents. I don't know. I filmed a video earlier today, which I haven't published yet, where I was
I've been saying the same thing to my own wife whenever we go shopping. Like, I'm looking at her, I'm like, I swear it was only like 2 months ago that that chocolate bar was like only £1, and now it's £3. Like, I swear it wasn't even that long ago. Like, the price was much significantly lower. You know what I mean? Like, buying steak now is like it's financially irresponsible. It's a very bad. You'll never recover from it. You know, it's a really bad thing to do now. And I remember when I was a manager at Aldi, you know, even like 5 years ago, maybe that was now. I can't remember when I quit that job. It was 2023 or something, 3 years ago. You know, I was bringing steaks home for like £4, £4. You know, a decent slice of sirloin, relatively speaking. It was all right. You know, it wasn't massive, but it was decent enough. Like I was bringing up maybe for like £4.50. In some cases, you can get like a rump steak for like £3.89, and now it's like £20. It's like £20 for one steak. I'm like, you're joking. It wasn't even that long ago. This huge, massive spike in food prices. And again, I think it's to create this food insecurity, this fear of sustenance for tomorrow. And I think when you mess with the food supply like this is when you really get people scared. This is what we saw, like COVID, for example. Everyone stockpiling pasta and toilet rolls, you know, because they thought they weren't going to be able to. They thought the shelves would be emptied and this type of thing. And the thing they wanted the most was pasta and toilet roll. But I think this is a psychological warfare thing. I don't think they're increasing the price of food because supply chains are breaking down. I think it's orchestrated. I think it's to create this sense of panic in people. How am I going to eat? You know, when you mess with the food, you really psychologically mess with people, which is why I think the message in the Christian writings and from Christ is when you fast, not if you fast. For good reason, the fasting process is there because scarcity is actually usually the norm, and we have gotten used to the opposite in our luxurious modern Western life and modernity. You know, and I think the warning is it's always around the corner. At any moment, we can go back to the normal state of affairs, which is scarcity and rarity of food. And you need to be mentally and physically prepared for that eventuality. And the majority, 99.8% of the population are not ready for that reality. And I think the people of controllers are playing that massively. And they're purposely buying up farmlands and shutting them down, you know, unnecessarily, because they're trying to cut off the food supply to foster the revolution. That's definitely what's going on here.
I was talking about grocery prices. The Politico has this new poll that came out, like a week ago, asking Americans, what is the thing you are most worried about affording in 2025 going into 2026? And the number one answer was not rent, was not your car payment, it was not your kids' college tuition. It wasn't even healthcare premiums. The number one thing that Americans in the wealthiest nation on earth are worried about being able to afford is food. Food. In the wealthiest nation on earth, Americans, your average American, is concerned about being able to afford to feed their families. And it's everywhere. I feel like it's across the board. I've seen a number of indicators show that depending on what kind of particular grocery you're buying, costs can be up 12% or they can be up as much as 55%. Things like coffee are up 38, 40%. Bacon, ground beef, they've basically doubled. Tariffs account for a lot of the increases. Fertilizer, farm equipment, y'all, those are imported. Everything is more expensive in Donald Trump's America. When I'm spending $3 or $4 for a pack of tofu that used to be a pound and is now 14 ounces or 12 ounces, when a jug of orange juice is $8, when a carton of heavy cream is $8.50, it's just, does this feel like prosperity to you? Does this feel sustainable to you? This is what I bought today, and I spent $43.24. We didn't even need a grocery bag. My daughter and I just carried the food out in our hands.
I'm slowly coming.
It's not just Donald Trump's America. It's everywhere. It's here too. It's the same thing for us. We are getting significantly less for the amount we spend that we used to spend. It's getting ridiculous. Yeah.
To the realization that we are the generation that has to do something, and it's one of the most difficult realizations to accept. All throughout history, we've learned and watched some of the worst atrocities be handled by groups of people who had to stand up and do something about it. And I think we've been conditioned to be more comfortable observing from a distance than getting rid of our discomfort. Whether you are pro-life or pro-choice or pro-Second Amendment or anti-guns or religious or atheist, we are living in an era where we have to behave differently right now. We've grown up reading about all of these revolutions and all of these stories of these people fighting back against power. We've watched these movies and TV shows telling these great stories about these heroes that got together and fought the odds. And I think we are unfortunately living in the generation that has to be the people who do that. Because every single day we are witnessing more and more evil come out from its hiding place. And I know it's so easy to just hope and wait for someone else to be the first one to do something, but I honestly don't think that we have much time. We're living in an age where we can organize groups of people and communicate with strangers across the world instantly. And I don't know what needs to be done. I don't know how to even begin doing what needs to be done, but I'm willing to try and at least get people together so we can figure it out. Because at the end of the day, I have so
Get people together, you say? Well, I've got a thing or two to say about that. Now, yeah, look. This guy, he's exactly what I was talking about. The younger generations obviously feel this idea: we need a revolution, we need an overhaul, we need to take back the reins of control. And I just don't know how we're gonna. I don't really know how we're gonna do it because I don't want to get killed, basically. And this is the problem: you will get killed if you try. You'll get killed. They own everything, including the guns and the means of power, and you will be seen as a terrorist, domestic terrorist. You will be a problem, a huge problem, if you go and have a revolution. Yeah, and the problem is that that's your fear, but the truth is as well. This is the weird conspiratorial irony behind all of it. If the people did revolt and rise up and overthrow the evil controlling government that's making our life hell, they'll let you in. Because that's the point. They wanted you to do that. That's what they made all this happen for. So you'll do the bloody violent revolution. And, Satan doesn't care. He has many puppets and fall guys all around him who may not even know it themselves. And he'll let the millionaires and some of these leaders die. He doesn't care. He'll sacrifice them for his long-term agenda and plan. The secret societies who work lockstep with Satan's agenda. They know exactly they don't care. They have plenty of patsies lined up in powerful positions who don't realize they're patsies who are going to fall during the revolution. They may have been told they're going to win the revolution. The serfs will never rise up and beat you. You've got all the power. But the point is they want the revolution so that people can think like they've won. And then they'll readily accept the solution, which will be the New World Order, which will be masked as a time of peace and unity and light and cohesion and wealth and glory and the rest of it. It's a long con, a very long con. And these people having these ideas now and saying these things are like the birthing of the new revolutionary mind, which they've fermented and created through these circumstances that they purposely created for us. And yeah, it's kind of like clockwork. Like, we've been saying this for years, by the way. This is not like just something I've just come up with now. This is like the plan. This is the agenda. And it's kind of scary to just see it happening in real time now. And we really are living in a post-truth world. Like, the conspiracy culture is a moot point. It's just observing reality. That's what it's called now. That's what it is. Like, just understanding the way things are and how they work is what this channel should be called. It's not understanding conspiracy. And everybody knows it. MK Ultra, you mean, Paul? Basically, yeah, these people are the product of a mind control program that's been implemented through media over decades and even a century. That's what this is. This is the product. This is the result. And we just need to have our wits about us. We need to be careful. We do. And look at that. Already it's been over an hour and a half. Time has flown. I have rambled. This is a bit of a different for a truth or therapy session, but I guess I just wanted to show you guys out there just what's going on. And what people are saying right now, because I know maybe you haven't got your ears on the ground. What are normal people saying and thinking, and what's their perspective on what's happening all around them? Well, here it is. They can see the symptoms, but they don't quite understand the cause, the underlying rot, the underlying parasitical disease that has a grip of society and them. Yet a lot of them are still just blaming themselves collectively for this mess we got ourselves into, and it's kind of no. wake up. Anyway, I'm going to leave that there because I have another podcast to get to in 5 minutes. But it's been good. Thanks for listening. I appreciate it. If you'd like a signed copy of The Nephilim Look Like Clowns, I still have some available right here in this box. I've got hardcovers and paperbacks. Here's one right now. So if you want a signed copy of this book, you can always email me at understandingconspiracy@gmail.com. It's a great way to support me and the channel, and you get something in return as well, something personal. Maybe for Valentine's Day, maybe you have a loved one who you really, 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 really want out of your life. Give them this, and maybe you'll send them running. Who knows? But yeah, give it a go. Message me just in time, like I said, you got my email, or consider becoming a patron. There's some extra stuff on there as well for you guys. And in these tumultuous times where everything's very, very expensive and everything's getting worse for rent and money and the rest of it, I'm not above shilling for myself right now. But if you do like what I do and you want to support me, please consider becoming a Patreon member or getting yourself a copy of the book. But other than that, guys, I'm going to leave that there. We'll end on that note. I'll be back soon with more videos, as always. Live Q&A on Wednesday and another Truth or Therapy session on Sunday. But thanks for listening, and as always, God bless.